Hi there, and welcome to another edition of the Attention Seeking Podcast, where we shine a light on ADHD with different guests, create a cocktail of anecdotes, insights, and often a healthy measure of humour too. I'm your host, Chris Healy, and today I'm especially thrilled to be joined by not just an incredibly talented guest, but also a good friend of mine, Emre Ramazanoglu. Emre is a multi-talented record producer, musician, and composer who's worked with a ridiculously long list and extraordinary roster of artists, including Brian Eno, David Holmes, Richard Ashcroft, Sia, Kylie, Shakira, Lily Allen, and Noel Gallagher. Emre's creativity and energy are unmatched, and as someone with ADHD, he offers a fascinating perspective on how neurodivergence can help us thrive in creative industries. A founding member of and drummer in the experimental jazz band Ill Considered, he blends raw improvisation with his ludicrous technical expertise, making him one of the most versatile figures in the music industry today. Emre, welcome to the Attention Seeking Podcast.
Hey.
Emre, I was trying to think how we first met or became friends. What's your memory of how we first got to know each other?
I think it was at a mutual friend's house, a massive house in Guildford, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I'm pretty sure I met you there.
Yeah. I think that's
a New Year's Eve party or something.
Yeah, that's my memory. And I remember because we've become much more friends more recently, but I remember a couple of those parties. We used to sort of end up chatting briefly, but usually about music. But it's interesting. I think neurodivergent people, they say, often like attract each other. But I used to find at those parties, and with no offense to anyone else there, but I used to find that there was a little bit of a vibe of us two slightly being outsiders to much of the friends at the party. We didn't know that many people there.
Always how I felt, for sure.
But we really...
Familiar feeling.
Yeah, but I think we used to, in our little snippets of chatting about studio stuff, or I think I was working Kensal Rise at the time. And
really? Right, and, so was I.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I remember us chatting, and we'd always connect. And I think even musically, we had a different taste to the rest of the party generally on music as well.
Probably. Yeah.
But I remember we'd always kind of like remember each other at the next party, even though we had these short chats.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I guess
got to know a lot better.
I guess one place to start, and this is going to sort of hand it over to you. Trying to ask you how you've got to where you are in your career. So I don't know if there's a way you could possibly tell me in a few, I guess, snapshots or like crucial points in your journey of, I guess, your career progression, or how you started getting into music and where you've come to where you are now.
Hyper-focus.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. The ability to learn lots of things very, very quickly.
Yeah, you're studying at that.
That's useful. That's a bonus. A massive bonus, because the industry's been a bit of a mess, and since I came to London in 2000, it's not been the easiest. So, just had to be versatile and helped by being able to pick up things quickly.
Yeah, well, you are. I mean, I was going to ask you something about that later. You are phenomenal at that. But I remember I read actually this morning when I was just reading up a bit of stuff on you, even though I know you quite well, that there was an interview which said that you came up from Portsmouth to London to be a session drummer initially.
Yeah, I was doing that and make dance music, which I wasn't into at all. So it was a way to get up.
I had a time in my life where I made dance music, which I wasn't into at all, as well.
It's important.
A lot of DJs, and often I'd end up writing songs that I didn't like because I didn't like them, and they wouldn't give much input to. And I just think, what are the chances of this being any good at the end of it if I don't like it?
Minimal chance. Yeah. It's that. So that was that, and about that point, session drumming was at a pretty big low. If that's the thing. And so I ended up doing programming and then engineering and then mixing and then more production and then mastering and film score mixing and sound design stuff. Lots of things.
Progressed pretty well in an exponential curve, especially more recently.
There's just been lots of opportunities which I've taken.
A bit of hustle.
And so that's sort of okay. It's okay now. It wasn't ideal at the time. It'd been better to do one thing, but it just wasn't possible. So
do you think ADHD helps you with being able to do multiple things?
I think probably it's the only way of being able to do this. I've got good memory.
Yeah.
Which I never really correlated with ADHD, but I think it might be not a non-exclusive thing.
People say it's like really amazing memory in certain areas. It's one of those paradoxes, but then in other things we can forget the most simple things.
No working memory at all. No short-term working memory whatsoever at all. And I can remember all numbers forever and sort of scan a page of text. I read ridiculously quickly, which is really helpful. So I can actually read manuals.
Yeah.
That's been useful.
What?
Like reading really fast is weirdly helpful in this business.
Well, I mean, I was going to mention it later, but one of the reasons we got to know each other a bit better was through when I was working with Devious Machines, sort of sending you plugins that were pre-release and beta versions, and absolutely mind-blowing. There's no one else I've ever met that could pick up a audio plugin that you've never seen before, and just within literally about 15-20 minutes kind of get your head around it in most of its functionality. It's pretty phenomenal. It's almost a bit Rain Man-y in its style, you know.
Not the first one who's said that, but anyway.
But can I ask you about your drumming though? How you first got into drumming?
Because my mum thought I had a coordination disorder, which I think isn't that. I think it's just ADHD. I don't know if you've seen the videos of the ADHD walk. Where
with those
people are just
swerving.
And banging into everything all the time. Yeah. And writing was really difficult.
Yeah.
I don't think any of it's a coordination disorder at all. I think it's...
Did you have a hypermobility type thing as well?
Yeah, so a bit, and possibly low iron, which is also something else that I think is part of it. But that's just possible. So she did it to help, got me drum lessons to help with the coordination disorder. But it ended up being, I remember still now in the loft at our house, I wasn't really allowed to play, but occasionally was. And just playing and going, this is what I want to do. And that was it.
Yeah. I have a very, very good friend, James, I might mention to you, he's very similar. He'd never played drums or anything. And at one point, he was very ADHD as a kid, because I knew him when I'm a bit older than him, and then knew him when he was a kid. And then as soon as he got into drums, bam, that was him. His focus was completely on that for the rest of his life. He got into the Brit school within a couple of years to be a drummer there and all this sort of thing. So he's just like really changed his life. But what's interesting about this hypermobility thing is he has hypermobility, and I read this article quite recently, which was about how so many people with ADHD have hypermobility, and I didn't really understand what hypermobility. I still don't really, but that it also causes inflammation, and there's an idea that the inflammation is what possibly could be causing the disruption of our neurochemistry for like dopamine and things like that. And you see, you're another example of someone with these, because you say a coordination issue, but yet you must be phenomenally coordinated to do the drumming that you can do.
People don't really get. Yeah, I don't really get. But
it's a paradox.
It makes more sense now.
I think they're all paradoxes.
Lots of paradoxes.
Yeah.
Loads of paradoxes.
I think that's the thing that really screws with our head, is how it can be such a paradox extreme going on the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah. It's useful to understand.
So, do you think your ADHD contributes, you said hyperfocus, to your ability as a drummer, and you are I hate to use that word mentally, but I was going to say a mentally good drummer, but really crazily good drummer, and fantastic with no question. Do you think that has helped you at all with being able to focus? Have you had to learn? Does it come really naturally, or do you kind of learn certain things that you've had to practice a bit? Or
having 1 million ideas, one after another, improvising and creating loads of stuff, easy.
Yeah.
Always never been, even on the radar as a thing that's a problem to do. Playing in time and playing the parts, super hard. Super hard.
You're being harsh on yourself there.
No, not at all. No, had done unbelievable amounts of work on that.
Oh, yeah?
To try and like the most simple stuff, starting simply, which lots of people do as well. But odd time, the same as standard time, doesn't make any difference to me. It's fine. It's not a problem. Just doing ordinary things in drumming, super hard. super hard.
And you said
way harder than that.
Sorry, you say I remember reading that I think you were saying in one article that you drum quite quietly, really, compared to a lot of drummers.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, generally. Yeah.
I think that's often the sign of a skilled drummer, actually.
Yeah. It's just a sound thing most of the time. Not always, we do a gig, it could get really, really intense, but generally dynamic and stuff. But I can play very, very quietly. But I think you could easily talk over me playing in the studio.
Wow. I'm sure no one does, obviously. But but I think that's often a really good sign as well, because a lot of drummers, you don't notice them hearing the sound of the drums so much, like the rhythm's there, but not the sound. And I think that's a really good sign of amazing drummers.
Yeah, it's great drummers really know what they're doing with sound.
Yeah.
It helps in production.
Yeah. Same with my friend James. I've never had anyone like it. That I think I use as the example to use. He bought a vintage China, I think, once, and I watched him at a gig, and most drummers I know would have used it throughout, and he hits it twice in the whole gig. But it's because of the sound. He wanted for that specific moment. Okay, so how did you discover you had ADHD?
From you. After what were we doing? Discussing Devious Machines, and then you were like, hang on, you got an hour next week to talk. And I was like, what about you? Never mind, just give me an hour. I was like, fine, it's you. And then but this was on the back of my brother sending me a bunch of stuff, which was really interesting, because another family member has had a formal diagnosis stuff, and he sent me it was quite interesting. I was just sitting on the sofa and he sent me this bunch of characteristics out of nowhere, and with no context. I was like, oh, this is great. He's sending me my personality type or something. This is brilliant. He put them all through it. Everyone was like, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Where are you getting these from? This is brilliant. And he kept on sending them, and then at the end he said, this is ADHD, and I cried.
Oh God. So what were the sort of things that were being sent, do you think?
Oh, I mean, everything, oh God. The hyperfocus, infinite attention span, but overwhelm, anxiety, all the positives and negatives, that you get. It's like comorbidities, like, overeating and sort of medicating with alcohol or not, and then or sort of lots of the negative things, lots of the positive things too, like, very emotionally aware of other people, which is also a big problem, because you view a world that other people don't. You can sort of get a bit kind of sort of confused by people a lot, because you're looking at them going, why you're saying the opposite of what you're actually thinking here?
Yeah.
Obviously. Yeah. Why is everyone else not? It's like, it's nothing. This kind of thing. Hard to explain. I can't remember what they all were, but it was really good.
No, but that's true about the emotions. I find that myself, that in fact, I have to tell myself to stop thinking about it, because sometimes I used to get myself really into knots of, if someone said something to me rude at work or something that was like, there's no need for that, I'd go away and ruminate and really work out what possible reason could they have said that. And you get to the point of, they don't like me, effectively, And do I need to know that? Do I really need to know that? At the end of the day, it doesn't really help me that much,
So, I mean, RSD is a massive deal, and doing music is quite a good way of getting some kind of good system to deal with it. I have lots of systems in place, I've realised, to deal with everything. So I'm actually really functional. Yeah. Because I have systems constantly to deal with it. I think it might be quite exhausting.
I think it would be very exhausting, to be honest.
But I do deal with everything pretty well. Like I think it might have been you I was talking to. I think it was when I was saying I don't really think this is right, because I deliver everything on time. I'm known for being super reliable. I'm never late. Always deliver. Oh no, there's a different friend, I think. I can't really have ADHD because it just doesn't line up. I'd be a mess. And my friend said, you're never late. I said, absolutely, I'm never late. And he goes, are you ever on time, or are you very, very early all the time? And I was like, immediately on dodging the back foot going, no, I mean, he says, are you just really early?
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe. And he goes, so you deliver everything on time? He goes, yeah. So I always deliver everything. He goes, right, how many businesses have you got? And I was like, well, I've got this thing and this other thing and this other thing and my main business.
Drum samples.
How much do you do? How I've got a pizza company. Yeah. So how much do you spend on the other things every day? And I was like, how much of your focus is entirely on one thing at a time? I was like, I was really on the back foot.
That's great.
Okay, maybe there's loads of stuff not done all the time and absolutely too much all the time to do.
Yeah. I mean, I think that is that.
And
yeah, carry on. Sorry.
I was just laughing just for this, very domestic and dull, but I just finally broke the infinite washing machine cycle, which I thought I didn't do and absolutely do by, I think it's the third time I've washed this load of clothes.
That is an awful thing that I do the whole time is just like I can wash clothes a good 3 times. I'm now almost used to doing it twice as a standard,
The passport thing was hilarious. When I think that was definitely you I talked to about that. And I was saying, that's when I was like not really believing this, going, I don't think this is me. And you going, tell me how many times you've checked for your passport between leaving the house and getting on the plane. And I was like, a completely normal amount of times. I text, I said, a completely normal amount of times, Chris. It was 68 times. That's normal, right?
Yeah, I find that. But then you've given me that was the bit I related to, was the passport bit. You've given me, I think I've caught from you now, a kind of anxiety of packing and leaving the place to go somewhere. Seriously, I get such a strain on it of just like, I try and pack the night before, the week before, but you get to the end point and I start just before leaving, I'm now grabbing random things around my house and thinking that needs to come, and it doesn't at all. I don't need my boxing gloves.
I've done incredible things. I've done incredible things packing before a tour or something. Packing everything, taking out my Leatherman, which obviously is a blade and everything. And taking it out, unpacking everything, packing it all together, packing it, getting to the airport and having my Leatherman packed in the bag, even though I've taken it out, and having to post it. Luckily, I could post it back to myself, which at the airport they let me in Terminal 5 in Heathrow. I remember she let me post it back. She could see that I was just like going in absolute disbelief at how was this Leatherman that I'd unpacked, specifically taken that one item out, how was it packed? Another time, this was years ago when Eurostar used to send physical tickets. They sent us some tickets, we changed the date, they sent us some new tickets, we had to post the old tickets back. 2 envelopes, very simple. Between the point of putting the letter back in, I'd got distracted and I posted the new tickets back.
Well done, that's good.
Just so wrong.
Yeah.
And that stuff happens all the time.
But that
for example, if I change my coat, as simple as changing my coat or my trousers, I 100% guarantee I won't have my wallet, my phone, and my keys. Definitely.
Do you not have your keys?
If I keep the same coat, yeah.
Do you not have your keys connected to you in some way? So
if they're on my trousers, yes. Yeah. If I change that, there's a high chance I won't have my keys.
So you have them connected on your trousers?
Always. I have everything locked in place. So everyone thinks it's fine. I never lose anything. Everything's fine. No.
I'm the same. I've had chains
to my absolute mess.
Chains to my jeans, my keys at all time. Amazing.
Work example is really hard. Like I have systems in place to stop myself messing up deliveries, because if I'm delivering files to major labels with massive projects, I double check everything, not double check it. I double check it and then will manually go through each file and check them. Each one is actually in the right place, writing it down, because I'll get distracted and won't do the right delivery. And if I'm not 100% on it, I'll definitely mess up the delivery. 100%. Which very, very rarely happens, if never.
I get it with my video editing sometimes. I can send the wrong file completely by accident,
Easily.
I find even when I used to work in the studio recording with clients, I'd find it's like adrenaline hit of the hyper focus. I mean, ridiculously focused, hours, you know what it's like, hours on end. But as I finished and we went, right, it's bounced down or it's recorded in, now I need to, back in those days, give you a CD of it, right?
Yeah.
At that point, my brain would just go to mush. I could not think, how do I burn that CD? I just take me ages to do the most final bit, because it's
weird and people don't really understand. I mean, the problem I have here, because I work with people a lot, is wearing people out.
Yeah.
Because I'll just go.
Yeah.
And they'll be destroyed, and I won't realise.
The ears? Do you mean like the ears destroyed by the same loops?
No, just everything. Just the amount of hours, the amount of energy and stuff.
Yeah. Actually, I have seen you when I visited you in the studio, and it is quite frenetic. I mean, you pick up a bass, you're putting that right, trying out that plug.
Oh yeah, if I'm working by myself, it's full on. But I've just learned to be extremely calm when I'm working with people and very patient, and that's my default, and that is great because it's nice to work with them. But that's probably one of the big reasons. But that's not natural. That's not my natural state.
That's what I was going to ask you: is how much do you think your ADHD sort of it contributes to your talents within the studio? Possibly how much it hinders? I mean, do you get a balance on it?
It's a massive hindrance. It's a massive, massive problem all the time.
Is it only a problem and hindrance?
No, it's a massive benefit. It's hugely helpful. The hyperfocus is incredible because you get to basically be superhuman effectively.
Yeah.
And people can't work out how the hell I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I've had one really amazing legendary guitarist say, I don't know how you do all these things so well, which is really lovely. And he's going, people don't do this.
Yeah.
And I was going, yeah, that's cool. But the downside, mate, it's
my brain's exploding most of the time,
it's just constantly, and the anxiety and stress is so monumental all the time. It's really exhausting, like really, really exhausting. I realize another ADHD thing that I do is turn off at night, power down, gone. It just, I've heard this is quite common, but I don't know if it is, but it's like just gets to a time I'm done.
Yeah.
There's no staying up.
I think I've stayed with you before, and it gets to 10 o'clock or somewhere. Is like, right, can you go to bed, Chris? Can you go now? I'm going to sleep now. Goodbye.
It can not always, but if it's been particularly lots on. Like my friends take the piss out of me if we go out. It's like, 9:30. Oh,
it's getting late. Yeah.
It's getting late. It's like, come on, not that bad. But
So when you're in the studio though, you mentioned RSD and stuff. How? So it can get quite tense with some people. Like not always.
Well, just have to remember. You have to remember that you haven't done anything. You've only done good stuff. There's absolutely no logical reason why they would be annoyed at you. Even though, if you ask me, context free, what I felt at the moment is that they probably wanted me dead, is what I would think.
Yeah.
And they're so cross with me, and I don't know why. I don't know what I've done. Or they've slightly criticised something, and I've spiraled off into absolute abject misery.
Oh, wow.
And have to then pretend it's all fine.
Has that got better now, though? Because, I mean, you are now doing a lot better career-wise in what you're doing. So,
yeah, I mean,
surely your confidence should have grown a bit on that. I don't know.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter, does it? Yes, I know what it is now.
Yeah.
So that's massively helpful.
Yeah.
So, I used to hate getting mixed revisions and get over annoyed, even though it's nothing. They basically go, this is amazing. Can we just put the guitar up a dB? And I'm furious.
What are you talking about? You don't know what you're saying, kind of thing. Yeah.
No, but they're probably right as well. But I just, so it's that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
As not being real.
But there's in the film series called Defiant Ones, there's a bit, Steve Irwin is talking about recording with Bruce Springsteen when he was engineering Bruce Springsteen. And Bruce Springsteen it sounded like hell to me. Bruce Springsteen had this habit he had this phrase called stick. And what he meant whenever he said stick was it's just it's not oomph enough. It needs to be more. It's just basically it's rubbish is what he's saying every time. And there's this bit where he's going, and all I would be hearing constantly was like stick at him. And they interviewed Bruce Springsteen. He's going, yeah, well, we worked him pretty hard. I mean, that's nature of what we were doing. It's like he had to suffer a bit. And he went off to the producer or the executive producer of the record, and he's like, I quit. I want to quit. I don't want to do this anymore. I cannot deal with working with him anymore. It's just, I've had it. And obviously late nights, and you were saying about early nights, some of these people want to work really late, I guess, in your situation. And the guy actually gave him some really good advice, which was, look, don't quit. You're here actually to produce a record for him. It's not about you. It was actually quite harsh. It's not about you. You're here to make his record the best record it can be. And if you go back and go, okay, I'm willing to do this and I'm going to commit myself to making this the best record, he said, you'll have a friend for life. And actually, you'll have someone that's on your side. And he did that. And he said it was one of the things he learned. But I can imagine, you work with a roster of loads of different people, but some of them are in the rock band style of things. And some of them famously excessive. I'm not asking for any names, but you know, how that must be really draining on you at times when you're in the studio, having like trying to keep your focus when like.
Yeah, I'm okay at it now.
Yeah,
it's all right.
Yeah, to just screen it out.
It's okay.
Just
yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that exact thing is like you're making their record, not yours. Helps everything.
Yeah.
When I worked that out many years ago, that made everything all right.
Yeah. That's good.
It really does help.
Well, you mentioned as well something about, you said self-medicating with alcohol a little while back when you were talking about traits. And I was going to ask you, I wrote down in my notes, I was going to ask you about medication in general. And so for a start, when we first talked about this, you were very much, you don't want to have any medication for your ADHD.
No.
So I was going to ask if that's still the case. And also...
Absolutely, yeah.
Also the self-medication... have you at times found yourself drinking more than you should? Or
definitely in the past. I don't drink at all now.
Yeah.
Which is...
And how do you find that?
Great. The best.
Yeah.
Not that I've ever overdrunk or ever really had a problem, but I've definitely drunk every day at points.
Yeah.
Which is a bit shocking.
I think it's quite common with people with ADHD. I mean, it is. It's very common with people with ADHD because I think sometimes it's sort of trying to dull and switch off the brain a little bit, to be honest.
Yeah, it does. It really works. It's lovely.
Yeah.
And I'm really fun if I drink a little bit.
Yeah, and you make great cocktails.
Yeah, I never really get drunk. You know, I don't really get very drunk. Same with coffee. Coffee does not much to me at all.
That's really interesting because I have this sort of bizarre theory that actually, this is just my own pop psychology, no evidence to it other than my own sense, is that in a way, sometimes I think we are more normal when we've had like some of these things than and therefore I don't feel I get particularly drunk. I never really behave badly with alcohol ever. And yet there have definitely been times where I've drunk enough where I should be very drunk. You know,
and it's like, so coffee's interesting as well because it does nothing. Absolutely, it never has anything at all. It doesn't wake me up or put me to sleep. Maybe I could easily have a coffee just before bed and I'll be fine. I'll just go to sleep.
Yeah, I was thinking about it this morning when I was making my coffee. Just this morning, and I was thinking perhaps it's even the habit process of making the coffee that actually is important to me, not so much the coffee drink itself. Yeah,
definitely.
Famously between us two, it's not that famous, but famously between us two, you made me a fantastic okonomiyaki once, and did a great pronunciation of it. But yeah, that obviously you are. This is interesting because to self-medicate, like not in the negative sense, but to self-regulate and keep good medication, if you're not taking pharmaceuticals for ADHD, they say that the crucial things are exercise, eating healthily, and sleep. And so you've already covered, you get good sleep, so that's good. You are obsessive about your cooking. I mean, real hyper-focus ADHD thing here. Yeah.
Diet is mental.
But do you keep a good diet on
unbelievable? Yeah, I'd say very, very, very good. I don't eat sugar really at all. I don't. I just do lots of good stuff. I have a very incredible nutritional therapist, mate. Really, really helped me. So I lost 20 kilos in the last 8. I've been a year.
I need that guy's. I need that girl's number.
He's incredible. But basically, at the beginning of last year, by January last year, I was at my 18-year-old weight, and I've stayed pretty much there the whole year now, and not drinking, not eating sugar really. I mean, occasionally. But it's basically my diet is not that.
You make very good ice cream. That's got to have some sugar.
Yeah, right? I know. I have a child, and it's essential not to ruin their childhood with my ridiculous diet. But I like cooking and making ice cream. I have a pizza company.
I didn't know you had a pizza company. Actually, I think you have told me this, but I didn't know that. When did that start?
I love making pizza, but I don't eat it really.
I can't really eat it anymore because I avoid a lot of bread. No, but I avoid a lot of bread nowadays.
I could eat it right now. No, my diet's good. And I do I've been walking, well actually this year, because of multiple factors I haven't done it as much, but for the 3 years before that I was walking 10 miles a day easily.
No, you do still walk lots. I've known you when I've come down to see you in London.
Not so much this year because of location and stuff and different bits of work and stuff. But yeah, I've started again. I mean, easily we'll do 6 miles a day and it's fine.
Yeah, because that's
really
what I was going to say. That's what hits your exercise part of it. And I've seen
it. It's good. And I work out in the morning.
And I've seen the workout stuff at your place as well. Yeah.
But it's just really important when you get to my advanced age to get some muscle.
Yeah, but it's also really important, I think, for your mental health. I really think for ADHD, it's really important to get exercise. It's really important to have healthy food. And apart from anything, if we don't look after these things, it's very easy for things to come off the rails with us, with burnout, overwhelm. So if you don't look after those things, you're just, what hope have we got of keeping anything under control? So, it's really vital.
But it's quite a lot to keep this all going.
Yeah.
It's quite a lot.
Yeah.
Because I would really just like chips and to watch a movie, but instead I'll go and do stuff. And, just to keep active and stuff, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But the same for lots of people, everyone normal and whatever. It's the same kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what I mean, though. If we don't look after ourselves, how the hell are we going to ever hold it down with other things?
I think there's a bit more, maybe there's a little bit more payback if you don't look after yourself, if you're dealing with ADHD.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
It's pretty easy to spiral off into a pretty horrible place.
Yeah, definitely.
Very quickly.
So, on another thing I wanted to ask you is, I've interviewed a couple of comedians, and in the last couple of years, comedy has just started, like, the number of shows at Edinburgh Festival which have been all about the comedian discovering they have ADHD, and it seems to be the most prevalent industry for ADHD are comedians, which is quite strange because it's kind of the opposite. You'd think with the RSD, the fact you're putting yourself on stage, it's quite intense. But now that you recognize ADHD, how do you think within the music industry, do you find yourself sort of noticing and diagnosing people, without mentioning any names, obviously, but do you think it is quite common within?
Yeah, there's also a lot who aren't.
Yeah.
It's not all, but there's definitely people, definitely. Yeah. And weirdly, I found like quite a few of my friends, close friends, I was sort of mentioning this to, and they're like, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And then me going, oh, of course, but never noticed.
Yeah.
Ever. Yeah. And now I do notice, go, oh my God, of course. Wow, they're quite unusual.
No, I've had a couple of friends who I wouldn't have ever put on my list of main cases of people and who have approached me and I've been like, wow, actually it makes a lot of sense if you do think about these aspects. Because you told me as well about David Joseph, is it, at Universal Music? Is that
yeah, he's left now, but he did some kind of neurodivergent pamphlet which I saw.
Creative Differences or something. It
was quite cool.
Yeah, because I think someone else I interviewed was saying that they felt there is a disconnect because you get a lot of people that are, say, they were talking about writing and commissioning comedy, that sort of thing, but they were saying that a lot of the people that are the agents and the people that do the commissioning don't have ADHD. So it can be this disconnect of like getting someone in to do a project, here's the brief, and then you got someone super creative that has ADHD. The communication can sometimes be a bit skew if, and it seems that
pretty much normal in music to have communication problems. So I would say that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I guess so. Can I also quickly just ask you about the Satya Hinduja project you told me about, just because that I found really fascinating. Can you just tell us a bit about what it was, the project in general, what she was doing that you worked on?
It's sort of it's best to go and visit the website and read it. It'll explain it much better than I would. I think it's called an alchemic sonic environment. They end up being like a really interesting immersive audio mix, and that was fascinating. And she's really interesting.
But it was about it seems to be about musical kind of, a certain extent of musical sort of healing and stuff in
I
the
think
project.
So, yeah. That's what it's really specific what she's into and doing. There's a very good engineer who's working with her as well, called John Kurlander. He's a sort of old guard of the Abbey Road engineers. It was fascinating. It was a great session. We really enjoyed that. We'll still do some more stuff soon.
Because I find that really interesting. There are a lot of products that try and sell, whether it's white noise, brown noise, pink noise, to try and help ADHD, whether it's, and certain frequencies as well, though. And I'm quite interested by this.
What I've always quite liked is on the tube, when you get the terrible grinding, screeching as you go and do. If I ram my fingers in my ears and it's all muted, I actually quite like that sound. Not the high end, but when it's all dulled down. I was thinking about making something and seeing what it actually sounds like. And
well, no, there are people that I was hearing a comedian on the radio talking about this, saying that he listens to he called it brown noise. I've not heard brown noise before as a description, only white and pink, but
just filtered.
Yeah, and he was saying that it's like, similarly, when on a plane, a lot of people like to put their headphones on because they don't like, but he's found that actually it was really calming to have the noise of like plane or white goods type stuff.
I think I might quite like it. But yeah, I'm going to have a little experiment and watch this space. I've got a plan.
Once I was getting a tattoo and I'd never noticed I did this. The guy doing the tattooing me, he said, "What's that sound you're making?" And I was like, "What sound?" And I had no idea I was making any sound.
Were you humming?
And I was humming. I was just like this one note of like, And then I've noticed that I do this quite often when I'm like, without knowing, like concentrating or maybe in times of slight anxiety and I even tried recording it and trying to work out what frequencies I'm putting out with this, because I'm really interested to know where roundabouts where these things are, because I've heard there's around like 150 hertz around there is meant to be quite a useful area for.
Oh, that's what Satya, I think, is looking at. I think around there. Check the website because it's all exactly laid out and very interesting.
Yeah, I will do. Yeah,
not far off that at all.
Yeah. But I was a bit disappointed it wasn't 150 hertz I was producing at all. It was about 300, about 300-ish. So, yeah.
Well, that's the multiple.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, no, it could be this. Yeah, it could be the waveform. You're right. Yeah, with the hertz, exactly.
Just doing the harmonics.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
No
wow. Okay, so I got a little feature kind of game here for. So we mentioned time management already, that you're ridiculously early. So I'm just going to do it again and see if anything comes out. So I'll eliminate that one and do it again. Here we go.
I also plot all time management out.
What was that?
I also plot time management out.
Yeah.
Plan it and write it down and have diary. I use my reminders in my phone absolutely constantly, and occasionally Siri will mishear what I'm saying, so it comes up with something going, "Bring Kevin." And
what was bring Kevin?
I don't know what that means. I don't know. I'm meant to be doing something. It's really important.
Yeah. But and then you'll remember.
And it'll probably be something like adjust spring tension or something, and it'll be something like that.
Bring Kevin.
I know. I just. Yeah. It can, but I don't know what I'm doing without my reminders at all, which is terrible.
You've got a pizza company, a sample company, you do your production stuff, your Dolby Atmos, you drum, you tour with a band that's been to China recently. Are there any other points where you have new creative ideas in other fields recently at all? Not that
I'm
you
actually
need
working with Oxford University at the moment.
Right.
On a new creative spatial audio project.
Wow.
Which is very interesting indeed. They're building these big facilities, but it's really exciting, and hopefully it'll be like a pure creativity art in space project.
Right, well that sounds easy to understand. I understood all of the English words you said there, but I don't understand what you really mean. But yeah, that's
probably composing music. Sorry, acousmatic music wouldn't effectively be that's music that's made for speaker playback in space.
Right.
In a space, not space extraterrestrial, but it's.
Have you been in those acoustic chambers where they're like, the
anechoic?
Yes.
I've never actually been in one. I'm quite curious. It'd be fun. Yeah. There's not that many in England actually.
No.
But
yeah. I was wondering if you may have experienced that with that. Okay, let's try another one, see if anything else is. Let's have a look. Yeah.
Is that a trait?
Yeah.
I didn't realise.
It is. It is a really
I'm
made.
terrible with that.
Yeah.
I got much better at everything when I started to ignore that.
Yeah, I mean, someone tried to tell me once when I was having, I think, therapy or coaching or something that, good enough is good enough. And I can't take that in.
I think it's an Italian phrase, isn't it? That perfection is the enemy of the good.
Yeah, but I find it almost impossible to not be. I mean, it's never perfection. I don't beat myself up that it's not perfection, but when I do something, so I guess my granddad used to always say, you know, if you're going to do something, do it properly. But if I have an idea at the last minute, that will make it better. I have to try and put it in, you know, even though it's going to stress me to try and get that done.
Yeah.
I used to get a lot with teaching as well when, I found it was morally the case. If I'm teaching and I suddenly realize they will learn better if I do this, I can't not do it. I feel like it's a moral responsibility, you know. But how are you with listening back to stuff that you've made previously then?
Okay, I don't tend to much after it's delivered. After it's delivered, I don't listen to it at all. Ever.
Yeah.
I don't think I listen to it at all after it's delivered.
Really? I have a weird relationship with that. Actually, you rarely ever play me any music that you've done with people, really, yeah. But I have a weird relationship with that where I if it's a month later or 2 months later, I'll be really angry with how it hasn't been perfection in whatever I've produced. But then if I leave it a year or 2 years, there's enough distance that I realize my own knowledge, you must have this, where you're constantly learning in production, new things that make things that little bit better, you know. So I know that I didn't have the skills I have now when I listen to something from a year ago, but I do find I can accept it more. I find actually that's pretty good. It's not as bad as I thought it would be, kind of thing, you know. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll try one more.
It's mainly about, one more.
Okay. How are you with that?
What's that? Oh yeah, terrible. Oh my God.
Do you find you overcommit
Absolutely
to
terrible.
things?
Yes, massively, and then deal with it all.
And then deal with it, still fit it all together.
Yeah. Fit it all together. That's my superpower is that. Also, it's everything. Get it all done. I'll be working in the middle of other things.
Yeah.
Doing stuff all the time. Someone will do something while their thing is printing. I'll be on another rig doing something else. You know, make it all work. Constantly doing stuff.
Yeah, I find it really. I find I have not conquered saying no easily.
No, can't sort that one out.
Someone gave me a really good, like, one of the sort of maxims. It's probably a meme or something, but they said to me that if you say no more often, then people appreciate it when you say yes, which I thought was actually a really good way to see it. But I still haven't conquered
practically.
Yeah, exactly. No use whatsoever.
Don't know about that one.
Okay, so
you said something very cool actually, which was really helpful. I don't know if anyone said it in this podcast. But I think it was you.
Yeah.
You were saying to try and understand, feel better about yourself. You said, don't imagine everyone as a horse, because this is you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't my phrase. I think it's yeah. But carry on. Yeah,
it's really good though. Imagine everyone as a horse, and you're an odd horse, aren't you? Such a weird
a zebra.
Horse.
That was exactly. Yeah.
You're not. You're a totally normal zebra.
Yeah, and no, but that's
so
part.
Cool.
That's part of the world of ADHD that we're trying to fit into a horse world. There's a zebra, and no one's actually appreciating that you're actually quite a beautiful, wonderful zebra. But yeah, exactly.
It's just different. It's so cool. It's a really nice.
But surely that's drawn you to doing. You do very. I mean, it's evolved into that way. But you've got to a quite independent place in what you do. You have a pizza company. You do your production, and that has probably been directed by that zebra horse feeling to a certain extent as well. Because
I think one useful thing is that I don't let this stop me doing anything.
Yeah,
I imagine all of it would be much easier if I didn't feel like this. So maybe you're constantly in a bit of a battle that maybe other people aren't quite in the same battle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and that's so fine. So it looks all normal and everything's fine, but it's like fine.
But when it's
quite hardcore.
But when you know the battle's going on, I think sometimes it is about accepting that, not giving up on anything, but accepting and realizing actually to keep ourselves healthy, we don't need. And part of that hard to say no thing, that actually it's okay to go, I can't do that today. That needs to be stopped. I will fall apart if I continue at this rate. But
also another thing is like, it's not all easy for neurotypical people either. It's just different.
Yeah.
This is different.
Yeah. Which brings me to actually kind of the last question, which was, I've asked everyone on this, which is, so if you could like turn back time, had the chance to remove ADHD from your life and start life again, as it were, do you think you'd want to take that?
maybe.
Yeah?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Do you think it...
Probably not, but maybe.
Yeah. Because I've asked most people, they either get into a real deep state of, but you can't say whether you would do that or not. And then it's like, well, it's a bit more of a flippant question. And then I've had one person really argued with me, a good friend, saying, no, I would so much rather not have this because it's caused me so much difficulty.
I'm generally like, no, it's great for the benefits, but you wonder, could you get the benefits without the downside?
Yeah, I'm not sure if we could. I don't know.
No, I don't think you can.
Because
probably no.
Because I mean, you once said to me, and I hope this has changed actually, I'm going to ask you this quickly. You once said to me, you turned to me when we were chatting, changed the subject from what we were talking about completely. This was early in you finding out about your ADHD, and you just said, but if I've got ADHD, I'm fucked. And I was like, what are you talking about? No, you're not. And do you still feel like that now? Or do you now feel a lot more okay about things? And,
It's okay. I think it's fine for me.
Yeah.
And harder for people around me.
Yeah. But then I think that's part of the understanding.
That's the sad thing.
For them to understand is quite useful as well, you know. Because without that, I think things can just fall apart all over the place, really.
Yeah. I think I'm fine solo. It's fine. Around other people, probably wish it was a bit more normal.
Yeah, well, you're all right around me anyway. I quite like hanging out with you, so
around non-neurodivergent people. Maybe it's some people. I think people really don't get me. Just don't understand how I function in so many ways if they are neurotypical. But I think some do even know, and I think it's still just quite hard work.
I think I can be quite hard work like that. Anyway, thanks a lot, Emre, for your time. And is there any exciting projects that you want to share that you've been on or doing? You don't have to. I'm just asking.
Not at the moment, I don't think. There might be some soon that I hope. Oh, hang on, something's gone wrong here. Man.
Anyway,
but
thanks so much for your time.
Maybe soon.
And good luck with everything. I can't wait to see you. I'm going to be down in London next week, so I'll try and pop in if I can. Lots of love to you.
Bye.